Hey everybody, this is Joseki bringing you another audio commentary. Today we're going to be looking at Human vs. Undead on Secret Valley, a game between Todd and Lucifer. I thought it was a pretty good game. Cool stuff to cover, my personal favorite matchup in Warcraft. Okay, so, on Secret Valley, a few points about the map. There are two wells, and the most interesting thing about that is just that how efficiently you can micro. Like, I mean, that's you could say this is an orc map. A lot of orcs counterpick Secret Valley versus Human because it's basically just a two-player map with wells, which is very good for orcs, being that they are a lot of low HP units. It's good for ghouls because they regenerate very quickly. I mean, ghouls also regenerate on blight, so maybe it's not that particularly amazing. It's nice for Human, your foots from creeping or from being harassed, DK, etc. It's really nice to be able to have that well to just send your foots to. Always abuse the well, probably the most basic point of any well map, such as Lost Temple or Secret Valley. In terms of base construction, like I have it paused at the 2-minute, I'm looking at Todd's base. If you look, he has one entrance to his base, pretty standard stuff. I've covered it in like my first audio or something. One entrance base, and he's going to be creeping out the orange No Overseer and 2 No Assassin camp, which is the largest camp you can militia creep right at the start effectively. Even if the DK comes to harass, he's usually a bit late to be able to steal any of your creeps. And I don't know, it's just a really solid camp to creep first, very similar to creeping your front orange on TM versus any race, but in this case it's much harder for them to get to it quickly enough to be able to creep jack you. So it's a nice camp to start off with. Anyway, Todd will be going Archmage, and Lucifer will be going DK, so we have a pretty standard game up for us. Anyway, if you will get the replay unpaused in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, unpause. Okay, so Todd now calling 3 militia to go out and creep this camp. 3 is basically the magic number. When you aggro the creeps, you get the No Overseer, his attention, you make water elemental so he's distracted by it, and then you send your foots to one and your militia to the other. He actually does use 4 militia, to be able to creep out this camp, probably wanting to make it a little faster in case Lucifer's Death Knight were to get there early, which would probably be a pretty bad thing for Todd. Right now, Todd mostly just trying to finish this camp off before the DK shows up. If the DK would have been there, he probably could have done some stop micro, as I call it. If you press the S key, it basically makes your units stop moving or stop attacking, etc., and you can keep spamming it. And you can sort of trick the undead into using a coil on a creep that isn't even going to be close to dead because it's anticipating you attack it. And if you don't attack it because you use the S key, then he's just going to waste his coil. So I guess that's sort of a little trick you can do. I do that a lot. I don't know. It's pretty effective. Right now, Todd just about is going to expand. This is pretty quick. Usually I creep out one more green before I expand, just so I have a larger supply of lumber. But right now, Todd's doing just fine. Yeah, he's 30 of 30 with a farm that just completed, and he's going to be able to have enough golden resources to be able to put up this expansion very successfully. And if you look how he's going to creep this camp, he's going to kill the trappers and the berserker first, the ranged units, because they have the highest DPS, and oftentimes bloodlusted units, especially ones that are especially bloodlusted units such as these, they do a lot of damage, and it's very hard to creep them effectively. As you just saw, Todd did something very similar to what I call stop micro. He took all his, as his militia were going to attack, he moved them all away from the Ogre Magi, let the undead burn his coil, and then finished off the creep himself. If you look right now, Todd has not built anything extra at his base aside from maybe peasants and a foot. So he does have enough resources to make a tower and his main, something I think that's relatively important for, just it's something that's relatively important for expanding. You want to make sure you have the right resources and the right macro. Don't stop making peasants. You definitely need a lot of, you definitely need just tons and tons and tons of resources to be able to put up an expansion. So if you need to have the money for the towers. So right now, Todd is using his macro, is harassing this DK very effectively, just keeping the DK low HP, because essentially a low HP DK is very ineffective at harassing, and it's very hard for him to be able to really do anything effectively. Right now, Todd is going to block this DK, almost kills it, but not quite, sadly. But still, the DK is now forced to run all the way across the map to the other side of the map to be able to use the other Fountain of Health, and cannot use the Fountain of Health nearest to Todd's Expo. I'm sure if he would have gotten his DK health up, perhaps he would have harassed with ghouls or made some sort of small push, but the problem is that Lucifer was harassed very heavily by Todd's Archmage, so he was unable to, obviously. So now Todd bringing his foots over to the well to heal. And if you look at Lucifer's base, he made a spear tower. Something, I don't know, sort of an interesting choice. I vaguely disagree with. I prefer Nerubian, obviously, just because slow is pretty much a bitch. Cool multitasking by Todd, being able to creep out this one camp while he's creeping out this camp while he's harassing the DK and keeping the DK low HP. So it's pretty cool, you know. Another good thing to do once you start your tech is you want to make another tower. You want to make towers at each base. The towers you make is very variable depending on how your early game goes. Let's say, like right now, Todd just got his base. He saw gargs and a lich. That means you have to make towers automatically. You don't have a choice. If you don't make towers just automatically from the simple fact that they're going gargs, you're going to lose the game because you're not going to have the anti-air you need. You're going to have water elementals in your AM, and if you power build a smith, maybe some rifles. That really isn't the way to go, considering the Undead can very quickly switch up to one of their tier 3 armies, and then your rifle caster army is basically the shits. So it's very important that when you're playing versus Undead, you're scouting. Todd's scouting gargs, so he did power build his lumber mill and get that first guard tower up very quickly. The main thing about even having one guard tower is it creates a lack of longevity for the Undead. If the Undead can't keep a sustained attack against you, then you're basically doing better in the long run. If you look right now, Todd's just harassing Lucifer's gargs and trying to keep the gargs from having too high of an HP or just having too many numbers. Maybe he's going to be able to kill some, etc. Another important thing to notice is Todd isn't massing towers this game. He's only built a few so far. Versus gargs, you're going to assume the Undead player is staying tier 2 for a while. If the Undead player is going to be at tier 2, then you don't have to worry about destroyers. The main reason you get towers are for destroyer pushes and for frenzied ghouls. Foot's AM MK doesn't beat any number of frenzied ghouls, really, unless it's like 2. But generally speaking, you need towers to be able to stop those sorts of things. Todd doing a great job using his water elementals and his AM to control the gargs. Water elementals do piercing damage to unarmored gargs, so it's pretty much insane DPS, especially because Todd is level 3. Those water elementals pretty much ass kickers. They do 31 to 39 plus however much they get from piercing damage. Yeah, it's insane. Todd is very quickly going to tier 3. This is always a very smart plan. As soon as the moment he hit tier 2, he teched to tier 3, built an MK, and started construction of his smith. That's 3 very important things. That's exactly how you should be doing it. There's really no exceptions or reason to not do it that way. I mean, as far as like why Todd is teching to tier 3 so quickly is he needs a tier 3 army to be able to beat Lucifer. He's trying to push his advantage. Maybe if Lucifer, he still would have gone very quick tier 3 had Lucy not stayed tier 2, which he's still tier 2 by the way, had Lucy not stayed tier 2 and gone tier 3, simply based on the fact that he probably would have made more towers. That probably would have been the only difference, which may have forced him to stay at tier 2 a bit longer, maybe make lumber peasants or something. But overall, really, there's just absolutely like almost no variation I can see that would really happen in Todd's strat. Always go fast tier 3 versus Undead. There's really no reason to be tier 2. There's nothing you can do at tier 2 that could do anything unless you're going to do a rifle caster push versus an expoing Undead, which is absolutely acceptable. Or if you have a pretty insane early game, like you kill all his ghouls or something, you can go for a rifle caster push. But even then, fighting versus Nerubian towers is pretty much ridiculous, and it's hard. So, again, I still would not advise it. Lucifer right now just trying to harass Todd. But as you can see, even with the very small amount of towers that Todd has, it is enough to more or less fend off the gargs of Lucifer, simply based on the fact that he has an MK and Water Elemental and AM all focusing them as well. Another very important note, Todd's building his workshops and